Man who wouldn't leave. I used to think the worst thing about missing a bus was the boredom of waiting for the next one. I was wrong. That night, waiting alone at the bus stop, I realized there are far worse things than waiting. It was a Sunday night, and I had just finished a long workout at the gym. As usual, I took the bus home, but tonight I had just missed it by seconds. The next one wouldn't arrive for another 30 minutes. My parents weren't home, and a taxi would be too expensive. So, I decided to wait. The night air was crisp, and snowflakes drifted lazily through the dim glow of the street lamp above me. It should have been peaceful. It wasn't. I noticed him almost immediately, a man in a heavy coat, standing just a few feet away. He wasn't waiting for the bus. He wasn't even looking at his phone like most people would. He was looking at me. At first, I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe he was just passing by. Maybe he was waiting for someone. But minutes passed, and he didn't move. His stare didn't waver. I tried to ignore him, but the air felt heavier with every second that ticked by. My skin prickled with unease. I turned away and pulled out my phone, pretending to be busy. But when I glanced at my reflection in the screen, I saw him, still staring. The bus stop was empty except for the two of us. The street was quiet, the kind of eerie silence that made every little sound feel magnified. My heartbeat quickened. I checked the time, 15 more minutes. I shifted my weight, forcing myself to look ahead, willing the bus to appear. But something in my gut told me I couldn't just stand there, not with him so close. Then, he moved. At first, it was just a step, then another. Slow, deliberate. He wasn't walking past me, he was walking toward me. My stomach tightened as I instinctively backed away. I forced out a nervous chuckle. Do you need something?" He didn't answer. He just kept coming, his expression blank, his eyes locked onto mine. I turned and ran. My sneakers crunched against the fresh snow as I bolted down the street. I didn't look back. I didn't want to. But I heard him, the heavy thud of boots pounding against the pavement, chasing after me. My breath came in sharp gasps. I didn't know where I was running, I just needed to get away. The bus stop was no longer an option. My apartment was too far. I needed somewhere very safe. A convenience store. I spotted the neon glow of an open sign ahead and sprinted toward it, shoving the door open with all my strength. The bell above the door jangled loudly, and I practically stumbled inside, gasping for breath. The cashier, a bored-looking guy barely older than me, raised an eyebrow. "You okay?" I turned to the window. The man in the heavy coat stood just outside, watching, waiting. "Hey," I said to the cashier, my voice shaky. "There's a guy outside. I think he's following me." The cashier frowned and stepped around the counter, peering out. The moment he did, the man turned and walked away. Just like that, as if he had never been there. As if he hadn't just chased me through the snow. The cashier let out a low whistle. Creepy. I nodded, still catching my breath. Yeah. I stayed inside for another 10 minutes, just to be safe. When I finally left, I checked every direction before stepping outside. He was gone. I made it home without incident, locking the door the second I stepped inside. My body was exhausted, but my mind was racing. I tried to convince myself it was just a weird encounter, that I was overreacting. Then, at 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. A photo. Shaking, I opened it. It was me, standing at the bus stop, and just behind me, barely visible in the shadow shim. I don't take the bus anymore. The next few days passed in a blur, but the paranoia didn't fade. I found myself glancing over my shoulder constantly, heart pounding at every shadow, every distant figure in the corner of my eye. At work, I was distracted, fumbling through tasks, my thoughts locked on that photo. Was it a warning? A threat? A sick joke? By Wednesday night, I convinced myself to check the bus stop again. I had to know. Had to see if he was still lurking. My breath fogged in the cold air as I approached, my footsteps unnervingly loud against the silent streets. The stop looked the same as before, empty, abandoned, harmless. Then, I saw something taped to the bench. A note. "You ran last time. Let's see if you can run forever." My stomach twisted. My pulse roared in my ears. I yanked the note off, crumpling it in my fist, and hurried back home. I locked the door behind me, checking it 3 times, before forcing myself to breathe. I told myself I was safe. But when I checked my phone that night, another message waited for me. A video. Trembling, I pressed play. It was a clip of my bedroom window, filmed from the street. And through the sheer curtains, I could see myself inside pacing, nervous, completely unaware. The video ended with the same heavy breathing I'd heard behind me that night at the bus stop. I wasn't safe. I never was.